Thank you. trade-in needed to get the new iPhone 16 Pro on us and the freedom to upgrade every year at boostmobile.com.
Wait, Subway did what?
Made it easy to build a $6.99 meal deal with any 6-inch sub.
All right, how are we doing? What is going on? Yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, I want this to be an informal video on the channel. That's the only reason I'm streaming. Not streaming because I want to stream for a long time or anything. I just want a little video to put on the channel. So I'm gonna post a VOD to the channel after we conclude, right? So I just want to get my thoughts out there. Yeah, we lost. We lost 100%. So we needed Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and I think we could have swapped Wisconsin for Arizona. So we needed either Wisconsin or Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania to win the race. Wisconsin flipped by about 30,000 votes, with 99% reporting. 99% reporting in Michigan by about 80,000 votes. Pennsylvania, big one. Pennsylvania was actually quite interesting. So I don't have the thing anymore. I can't click on the individual counties, but it was Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, York and Buck County were the big ones in Pennsylvania that we were looking at, right? It was, I think at the time that I was last looking at it before I went to bed, it was like 650,000 outstanding votes in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and then like maybe 200,000 some in York and Buck combined. York was like 52% Biden, I think, and 48 Kamala last time I looked. York was really 50-50, or maybe it's the other way around. And then both Philadelphia and Pittsburgh were heavily like 70% Kamala. So I was like, there's no way Pennsylvania goes red, right? But sure enough, it did. And I guess I was only looking at the aggregate, the top four, right? So it could have definitely been the case that there was like a bunch of rural counties with like largely Trump that had not been counted yet. I'm skeptical of that because typically when you have less voters, you're going to get through those quicker. That's why it's usually the Democratic cities that the Democrat like majority cities, because cities tend to be largely Democrat, right? Those have the most people, so they're going to have the most votes. Therefore, it'll take the longest time to count the votes, right? But yeah, I wanted to go over a couple things. So we lost the show all states. We lost the Senate. Lost 4 seats in the Senate. They gained 4, so that gives them a majority. It was 49-49, right? With what would that mean? That it's 2 independents. 49. Yeah, that would be 2 independents. But yeah, now 53-45. With still looks like 2 independent. Yeah, 2 independents. My math a little shaky. The House, they didn't technically gain the majority. I think there's a couple independents that always end up voting for voting left, right? So I think the GOP like effectively has a majority in the House as well. So that's a little scary. I guess we're gonna see what's gonna happen with it. The governor results, we didn't. I think some of the main things we were looking to see here, I wasn't super keyed in on the majority of the other states' governors, right? But down here in North Carolina, Josh Stein won, so that's great. That's what we wanted to see by actually a wide margin too. And I wonder if it'll break down. Probably, right? Yeah, there we go. Mike Ross, the Libertarian Party, got about almost 200,000 votes. And then it looks like combined they got about 230,000 votes between Vinnie Smith and Mike Ross. Yeah, and he lost by about 800,000. So even if he consolidated that vote, he probably still loses. Cat, come on, quit playing on me. Yeah, so I just have a couple of key things I wanted to mention. Let's see, do I still got the pulled up in my Obsidian? Yeah, so basically I wanted to go over election results. Why do I think Trump won, right? I don't know. I really don't know. We don't know yet what the biggest issues were. I'm assuming immigration and the economy were leading for people that were considering to vote Trump anyway. Given that's the case, though, I think he did good at consolidating the independent vote, or the third party vote, I guess. Let's see if we can go back to. Oh, I'm messing shit up over here. What is wrong with you? Let's pick, like Wisconsin. Let's see the breakdown. So yeah, I guess Jill Stein didn't vote much. It was pretty straight up here. Neither way flips it. Looks like they both did pretty good in Wisconsin at consolidating the third-party vote. Is that about the same percentage? 26, 20, 44? Yeah, Jill Stein had double, basically, Robert Kennedy. Or not quite, like 2/3 more votes. It still doesn't flip the election here. So maybe consolidation of the independent vote wasn't as important. I wonder maybe in like a state that was already leaning heavy if Jill Stein was bigger. No, yeah, it looks like to be the same. Chase Oliver is popular here. Let's go like Alabama. Robert Kennedy, 12,000. All right, maybe not. So what I wonder, so 69% reporting, 91% reporting. I wonder how much, so if we've got 90%, 700,000. Wait, how will we do that? Will we just times both by 0.91? I got my calculator somewhere. Let's see if I want to see if I can get a rough estimate of how many outstanding votes there are. So if we just do, in theory that works, right? Why wouldn't it? So 700,000 times 0.91 plus 650,000 times 0.91. Oh, I messed up. Yeah, I messed something up. Okay, so 650,000 times 0.91. Wait, oh, because I only did 70,000 for that one. I was about to say, what's happening here? Or would I have to do I think I would do the reverse, right? 0.91 is 0.09. What if I do that? So that's 63,000. So it's not even going to be like 100,000 votes that are still out on Nevada. Let's see about, so 69 goes down to 31, or no, 21, 31. Math, it gets me. So 1.3 mil, oh, I don't actually need to add the point. We'll just do 1,300 times 0.31, and then 11.7. 70 times 0.31 plus 403, 765, and we took how many zeros off to get it to 1170? 3 zeros, so 760,000 votes roughly remaining in Arizona. So what was the 2020 totals? Because I remember seeing a lot of people saying that it's weird that there's so little votes, and I did look into this a little bit. And I think I agree that things do look a little strange, but is it that strange, right? So looks like Trump had. I want to see what the independent vote is. Do we even have those stats yet, though? I would have to go through individually, right? I don't have like a. Let's see. Oh my god. Results. Total. No, this is all. You're gonna pull this up. What has CNN got for me? At least I can hover this way, right? So. Does this give me a... This is 95%, and this is 70%. I wish it would give me outstanding ballots. But I don't think I'm going to be able to see that. Remaining... What if I just do 2024 remaining outstanding ballots? Hold on. This isn't gonna give me. I don't think this is what I'm looking for either. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it right now, unfortunately. But regardless, 81 plus 74. 155 million. 70 will round up to 73. 68. 141. So 14 million people less didn't vote last year, roughly. 72 million to. Oh wait, it was this one. 72 million to 74 million. So it looks like Trump just stayed the same, and that. Some 81 minus 68, 13 million, some 13 odd million switched, because I don't think Harris voters, or not Harris voters, Biden voters that aren't supporting Harris are voting for Trump. I think they're probably just not voting or voting independent. It looks like Jill Stein in totality didn't really do all that much better than Robert F. Kennedy, but perhaps these even hurt Trump. I don't know who is voting for Chase Oliver specifically, if they would, if otherwise they would vote for Trump or what. Sorry. If they would have voted for Trump, but yeah, regardless. So what was the next point I wanted to go over? So yeah, to answer the question, why do I think Trump won? The economy is definitely bad. Perception of the economy, I should say, is bad right now. The economy has been bad. And 2020 to like 2022, but as I'll go over later, as being kind of the main point I'm here for, the economy's not bad. The economy's not bad at all, and I'll go over that later. I know that sounds crazy to say, but yeah, we'll explore that and the numbers behind it. What do I think hurt Kamala? Right. Like I said, I don't know because these data points aren't out yet. I think for Kamala, what probably lost her most votes is certainly the staunch support of Israel, right? Because a lot of the left is super supportive of Palestine and are in favor of sending aid to Palestine and cutting aid from Zionism. I mean, most of them are Zionism to Israel, right? Most of them are for what is it called? Divestment or divestment. Whatever, regardless, they're in favor of like all that, pulling all funding from anything relating to Israel, right? So it is no wonder to me that we did see some odd million amount of people. I don't think that contributes to all of it. But yeah, I think it was a lot easier last time. We were directly following a Trump presidency, so it was a lot more on people's minds, right? Going into the Biden presidency. So that's why I think partly turnout was so high. Regardless of, I think I read it in an article earlier. Regardless if you like him or you hate him, Donald Trump does drive election or like people to vote, right? He does drive voting, whether it's for him or whether it's against him. He drives people to vote because he's a polarizing figure. He's a divisive figure, if you will, right? So yeah, that's partly why. You would probably expect the same thing, and we kind of did. We did have good voter turnout, but comparatively to last election, which was arguably an anomaly, and I understand why people might be skeptical, but I think we might have time to explore that a little bit. I don't know how long I have here. I might be able to explore that a little bit, and we can talk about that. But yeah. So I think the support of Israel definitely hurt Kamala for sure. Even more so now, past October 7th, right? Because that wasn't even a thought for a majority of these people that now support Palestine wholeheartedly. They didn't even really know of the... Now, I'm not saying all of y'all. Don't everybody hate me because I'm saying this, but the vast majority of leftists now that are super in support of Palestine and super against Israel are, yeah, I mean, they don't do it because they're super supportive of Israel. They just... I'm working on a video. We'll get that out soon. And then because I don't want to go over that right now. I don't want to go over Israel Palestine. But yeah, I do think it was a significant reason that she lost. The economy being bad is gonna hurt. People that had faith in the Biden presidency may be led to believe that it was unsuccessful at revitalizing the economy. But I think a lot of people undersell exactly how bad things got. Right, and like I said, we'll talk about the economy later. Immigration is another one, definitely. I know people like to call her the border czar, but I mean, how much power do you really have over the border? I mean, we had the bill come through. I mean, y'all are welcome to argue with me on this, but why did we get rid of the bill that was supposed to come through and put a cap on how many asylum seekers we allow in per day? Like if we get over, I think it was 5,000. If there's a day where it's 5,000, or maybe is it 15? I think it's 5,000. We can shut down the border until numbers decrease, right, and come down to a more sustainable rate. And then I'm pretty sure it was packaged with allocating funding for more judges or something like that, right? So a good border bill. We're not. I guess it depends on how you want to approach immigration. If you just don't like immigration, period, or if you're just trying to get rid of illegal immigration and people getting into the country not the legitimate way, right? If it's the latter, I understand, and I agree with you. If it's the prior, I don't even know why you're in America. Go live in, like, Germany or something where there's not that much immigration. Actually, Germany's probably a pretty immigrated to place, historically, given its... No, probably migrated away from. E-migrated? Is that what that's called? But yeah, so what else do I got down here? What is the economy like right now? I don't want to go through that quite yet. So what can we expect from Trump, right? So this is where I get to give you a little bit of good news, right? I get to tell you that things don't look as doom and gloom as everybody thinks that they do, right? Josh Stein, for me, in NC, is definitely a big up. I'm really happy about Josh Stein winning. Mark Robinson's an absolute hack, and it would have been significantly detrimental to life in North Carolina, I believe, had Mark Robinson won that vote. But, yeah, I mean, Trump came in. The economy was already really good in 2017 when he took office. And, yeah, he didn't mess it up. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of presidents in the past that might have come in and tried to do too much and ended up messing it up, right? But what did he do when we had a great economy? He was deficit spending, right? Effectively, when he's cutting taxes on the wealthy and he's over here effectively cutting our budget, or not our budget, but our, what do you call it, like fiscal assets or fiscal, or our capital for the year, right? We're not getting as much on taxes that year, therefore we have less to spend with the budget, so it's easier. So we do end up, in 2017 and 2018, we do end up deficit spending and adding to the deficit, which is something, as under a strong economy, you should not be doing, right? At least I can look at Joe Biden and say, you have a reason to be deficit spending because we had a global pandemic, we had a shutdown of the economy for a little bit, the economy's really bad, so like, That's when you're in a recession, you have to deficit spend. That's just how it is. When you're in a boom, you don't deficit spend, and when you're in a recession, you have to deficit spend, right? We can't let the country fall apart any more than it's gonna. So we have to deficit spend at some point. But yeah, so I don't think he's going to make the economy worse. I don't think he's going to particularly help inflation if his tariffs and his taxes for, the higher tax brackets go through, because like last time, that's what kind of kickstarted a trend of increased inflation over the years prior to COVID. The 2018 and 2019, we had, I think actually the inflation rates got a little bit better in 2019, and then obviously took a dive under COVID. But yeah. So wait, what was I think I was about to say something else there. See if I can cue myself back in on what I was about to say. Probably not though. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super confident about what he's going to do for the immigration. I know that people like to believe that he's really good on immigration, but in 2016, I mean, immigration, we went from deporting so many people under Obama to deporting less people under Trump. But suddenly we think he's going to solve the border that we think is uncontrollable now. And it didn't even matter. Conservatives back then, I don't know how long y'all have all been in politics, but like conservatives back then were even saying that Obama's borders were uncontrollable when he's the number one deporter in all of American history, right? And somebody from his presidency who literally, I think, what even was Biden's total deportation numbers? I want to find that. I would assume he probably had less total migration or immigrants coming in. Legal immigrants, assuming, because we can't obviously keep very much track on. Joe Biden. What was I look up? Total deportations. So for 4 years, keep in mind, he has half this long of a time as Obama. The Biden administration is on pace to match Trump. Focus on the border, not the U.S. interior. So when is this? This is June 27th. Whereas President Barack Obama was labeled by some as the deporter-in-chief. This new trend may earn President Joe Biden the title of returner-in-chief. Deported migrants to more than 170 countries during the current administration, which may be the most ever. I don't want to know the most total countries. I want to know the total deportations. Cat, please. Repatriations. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Of unauthorized migrants in the United States by type and presidential administration. Wait a second. Hold on. What? Removals? What's green? Title 42 expulsions. So what is Title 42? Did they discuss this up here? It first did so through the circumvention of lawful pathways federal rule issued in May 2003 in conjunction with the lifting of Title 42. Lifting of Title 42. Wait, so what? The changes come with the end of coronavirus restrictions on asylum that have allowed the U.S. to quickly turn back migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border for the past 3 years. Those restrictions are known as Title 42 because the authority comes from Title 42 of the 1944 public health law, allowing curbs on migration in the name of protecting public health. I'm confused. I'm confused how this contributes to extra deportations. So what is this a measurement of? Right over here? Yeah. So what is this a measurement of? Fiscal year removals, returns by 100,000 returns. So we have administrative returns. Look like we've got more than Trump. Oh, 2020. Wait. Title 42 expulsions. So is that what that's saying? So we're turning people away at the border under Title 42, I'm guessing? Is that what that means? I'm going to go with yes. So administrative returns, enforcement returns is like ICE. And it looks like 2023 we had a lot of ICE returns, more so than Trump ever did. In 2024 we're also posting highs. So what is this idea that we think immigration is going to be fixed under Trump if it's not fixed under Biden, who is obviously doing something about it? Do you not think he's deporting enough people when he's deporting a massive amount more than Trump? Even given, I mean, Trump didn't have Title 42 to utilize, and if you take those away, the numbers become about the same. I mean, if you take out the green and you average them together, it looks like it's probably like an average of like 400,000 per year, or like 350,000 a year total for between the Trump and Biden presidency. Yeah, and it looks like Biden's ahead. I mean, it's hard to tell with this graph because it's not a great graph, but yeah, immigration's not that bad right now. I mean, this is like, what we can find. We obviously have some odd million of illegal immigrants in the country, but that's what we're deporting for, right? So yeah, Biden is not this super soft guy on immigration. I don't know why we think that Kamala, the literal vice president of that administration, would be significantly different in action. Fuck, I guess it's time to go over the economy, right? How long have I even been live for? Wait, where's my Streamlabs? I don't know. Alright, so yeah, so let me pull up a couple other indexes or metrics real quick for the economy, just so I can go over. I had a couple more pulled up yesterday, but I turned my PC off, not thinking about my tabs. I don't like that. I need a better graph. Trading economics. There we go. Good graph. Good graph. Customizable graph, even. All right, so I got GDP growth rate, inflation rate, Michigan Consumer Index, producer prices, producer price change, housing market, interest rate, house interest rates by year, U.S. See if trade economics has got another one. There it is. Beautiful. I love you, trade economics. 30-year mortgage rate, house price increase, U.S. by year. What's another metric? I wish I had a live chat so I could just have people telling me things that I need to show. Inflation, so we'll put producer price here. Go over consumer ratings at the outset. And the outset's the beginning, ain't it? 30-year mortgage rate, house price index year over year. There's something I'm missing. Wage growth. Yeah, I need wage growth. Wage growth rate, U.S. by year. All right, is there anything else I can think of? I think that's a good order of how we're going to show these. All right, yeah, so let's go over the economy now. So this is the last thing I want to touch on. This is the main thing on. I want to throw my hat in the ring on this specifically because I know that there's going to be an inevitable public perception change when Donald Trump takes office. The day he takes office, the economy won't get any better, but public perception of how the economy is doing is going to immediately overnight switch. And y'all quote me on that. I promise. Look into it as soon as he takes office, and I'm standing on that. It will be the case. If it's not, I will say that. If it's not, I will eat my words, but I'm confident. I'm super confident because it happened last time. Granted, we had COVID, but COVID didn't even ramp up till about April, right? Wasn't even a mass pandemic yet until about March, April. And by January, the consumer confidence index is already way down. By the end of January, I should say, by going into February. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and go over these real quick. So I've got a couple different metrics here that I want to go over to give us an overview of the economy real quick. My thesis is that the economy is not that bad right now. Public perception might be bad, but that's not always aligned. They're definitely separated. They can be, they can align, but they can also be separated. And I think at the very moment they are significantly separated, and I hope that I can give evidence of that with the following statistics. Yeah, so I guess let's just hop straight in. So first thing I've got up here is the GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. It is just a measurement, a rough measurement of how much product an economy produces, right? Your gross, domestic, meaning gross is total, like not accounting for whatever. I think gross is basically just short, or another word for total. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but domestic means obviously in the U.S. produced domestically, and then products are obviously goods. Not talking about services. The service industry is separate from this. Maybe I should look up some stats on the service industry, since he talked about running on no tax on tips. But isn't that already a thing in majority states? Like I'm sure there's states out there that tax tips, right? It's got to be like or Las Vegas. That's just crazy. You can make bank working at service, right? But yeah. So let's just go ahead and get it out. Enough messing around. So GDP in 2016, right? So let's actually go. Let's do 2004. From 2004, all right. So Obama takes office here, right? Or no, I guess it would be like between here and here, and we have a little bit of dip, right, because of the housing market crash, and then trends level out and continue up and up and up, and then when Trump takes office, we actually slow the progression. This is an important thing. This is what bothers me so much. I don't care if you vote for Trump because you have certain things you believe in. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is if you tell me that your main reason for voting for Trump is immigration and the economy, and I can give you valid reasons why he's not going to do that effectively. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the fact that you're voting for Trump, it's just the fact that you're saying you're voting for Trump for reasons I don't even think, and I think I can probably make you agree with, he's not even better than Kamala for, right? Compared, if we're obviously taking some trends from the Biden presidency. She's not going to be the same, but we're assuming she's going to have some similar policies and similar ideas, right? So 2017, 2018, 2019, tax cuts come around 2018, 2019, right? We slow things off. We slow the progression of this nice trend that we've been going. So I just wanted to note in 2016 or 2017 when he takes office, well, at the end of 2016 and in 2017 when he takes office, the economy is great. The economy is great, right? And I think as I touched on earlier, what do you not do under a great economy? Right? You don't deficit spend. You don't deficit spend. And that's what he did here effectively when he did the tax cuts. So anytime we have a budget that the U.S. operates on per year, right? Spending the deficit means that you use or borrow more money, or I guess you're not borrowing yet. You spend over the deficit, right? You allocate funds over the deficit. And that means those extra that you are behind, you have to borrow. So that adds to the debt, right? So that's what deficit spending means. So you can either deficit spend by spending or by cutting funds, right? Not cutting funds, but like giving tax cuts to the wealthy when they pay, obviously, a majority of the tax, owning a majority of the wealth, as they should, right? We're going to suffer from that. We're not going to have, if we're planning to have a budget for 1 year for a certain tax range that we're expecting, and then we cut taxes, you understand why inherently that is the same thing as deficit spending, effectively, right? It's not directly deficit spending, but it is, right? So let's look, let's go 5 years. Cat, please. I'm busy. See, this is actually what's kind of crazy, is how much the GDP grows under Biden from 2023. Why can I not see past GDP growth rate? Is it 3% per capita? Like that looks good. Why is there no? I guess GDP doesn't take a big hit like other trends would, like inflation and price change and all these other things, right? So GDP, like I said, not the greatest estimate of how strong an economy is. As you can see, it appears that the economy is great right now under Biden, but We know that's not great under Biden. We know that things aren't as bad as they were, and they're actually good now, but they aren't great. So let's dive a little bit further. This is just quickly the growth rate, the by percentage, basically just telling you how much year over year we're growing. Bro, why can't I'm about to buy YouTube Premium for streaming, because holy, these ads are killing me. I don't even know where my YouTube tab is. I'm not going to be able to find this bitch. Oh, there we go. Right. Well, I don't even know where I was at because I got distracted by the ad. But yeah, so GDP growth rate. GDP growth rate. So this is what we see here. This stagnation, the beginning. Stagnation. And then we increase as the... Actually, I'm not even going to try to explain that because I don't know. Oh, maybe we get it because we get this reverberation in Q3, right? Yeah, okay, so that's definitely the case. So anytime you've got a trend like this, you've got a market, a big market specifically. The U.S. economy is massive, right? So anything that's going to have an effect, a big effect, is going to have an equal and opposite effect usually. That's usually how the economy functions. You can look at most, the 1920 depression, like you're going to see trends that reverberate like this, that they have an equal and opposite reaction. It's not a law like it is in physics, but it mostly is in large economies. That just tends to be the case. So we see this big drop, and because of this big drop, we see this big gain. Also to do with a little bit of stats, if you drop 28%, it's going to be a lot easier to make a 35% increase over that on the next quarter. But yeah, so this is obviously not sustainable, so it's going to drop back down to normal levels. And you see, it's really only a year that GDP growth rate takes a hit under COVID. As soon as 21 rolls around, we're back basically on pace with where we were. We get some highs as we're still kind of dealing with COVID. But yeah, we get back 4.8% is Trump's maximum GDP growth rate, and we're hitting highs higher than that up here, right? Negative 1% Q1 of 2022. Not sure what that is. I did look into it a little bit. Some people have suggested that it was having to do with Russia and invading Ukraine, and I can understand that intuitively, but I also, the more I think about it, I don't understand exactly how that's messing with our GDP growth rate. I can understand it increasing like consumer good costs, because it would theoretically, like, if we're taxing them on stuff, we're not going to be importing as much stuff from them, and if we make money off their imports, you know what I'm saying? So that makes sense. And I think he started the invasion in February. It was February 24th, 2022. So that's at this time. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe the oil. Maybe not getting oil, and that's why gas prices around this time skyrocketed. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I've been looking into it a little bit now, but I'm not an economist. Damn, I've been live for 45 minutes. I had a little bit of in between, but... Holy. Alright, well, we're almost done with this, so I guess this video is going to be like an hour, and I'm just going to leave it on the channel. That's not going to go great, but hopefully there's nothing in here that's copyright. Alright, so inflation rate. This is the big one. Everybody talks about inflation and that it's so bad right now, and I would agree that it is bad, but it's not bad right now. It's bad because it was bad, right? That sounds a little strange to say, but let's just go ahead and get like an effective... Let's go back down to like... We'll do 2008 this time, just so we can see the entire... So 3.7%, and we drop off a cliff following the boom after a big recession, right? Like I said, equal opposite reaction. Big peak here, big chasm, big valley here, right? Negative 2.1% compared to 3.7%. So we get that reverberation, and the equal and opposite, it's going to usually be a wave function type deal here. It's going to reverberate again. That's not going to be sustainable, so it's going to level out. We have this big upheaval again once the housing. I think we have a little bit of a housing bubble problem here, don't we? In between 2010 to mid 2012, right? I don't know. I'm not super keen. I need to look into the Obama presidency a little bit more. But it looks like if we took an average, I would say our line of best fit is just shy of the 2 mark up through the Trump and Obama presidency. Looks like about 2% inflation rate. Obviously, COVID, inflation rate goes down when there's not money moving through the economy. The inflation rate's not going to change much. Inflation doesn't really happen unless you're actually going through goods and having to print money, right? So, yeah. Anyway, 1.6 or 0.6, 1%, 1.3%, 1.4. So inflation rate's not doing bad going into the end of 2020. It's leveled out here, and then inflation is a complicated economic metric because it doesn't react as quickly as the other trends. So you notice the effect of COVID comes way later. And I think also, like I said, I wonder if someone can educate me on this. Does Ukraine actually play a role in this? Because that would make sense to me, where it's this massive, massive increase. I mean, if we go, like, the only peak higher is following World War II, the 80s, and 74. And I don't know what was going on here, but, like, you know what I'm saying? So this is, do we think Biden's to blame for this? Do you think one man has the power to get inflation ratings this high? Even if he wanted to. Imagine he wanted inflation rates as high as possible. Do you genuinely think he gets to 9.1% through normal actions? Or do you think that COVID probably just played a bigger role than people want to give it credit for in the economy? What are you looking at? Listen, you're just distracting. I know you want to sit up here. But yeah, so after the big fall off, we get, so like July 2022, it's absolutely the worst. June actually 9.1 to 8.5, like 8%, 8.5% roughly. And then we start falling off. We start falling off all the way through 2023, or halfway through 2022 to 2023, midway through 2023. We're falling off. Around that July point, we start leveling off, and now September 2024, we are at 2.4%, which I think under the Trump presidency, the lowest point, he wasn't in office here, 1.6. Looks like his lowest inflation rating was 1.6. Yeah, because he took office in January. Yeah, so 1.6 was his lowest, and we're posting 2.4, right? So the economy is getting back on track. Inflation, like I said, it reacts slower, so it's coming down, whereas other statistics, as we're going to see, have come down already. This one is still going to level out a little bit longer. It's going to take a little bit longer to get through. So yeah, so this is next one. This is roughly the same measurement, just done in a different way, right? This is just the producer prices change. And this is just how much the cost of goods has increased over a graph. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go 2008, so I can see the Obama presidency and compare into what Trump did with the economy. So it looks like in 2008, we have obviously the market crash. Once we recover, it looks like we're doing good. Negative 6.86%. Goods dropped 7% in value, which is a good thing, right? That's not a negative. It's in value. But for the consumer, they got 7% cheaper goods. At this point, goods were down 7%. That's not super sustainable, so it's gonna level out. Continues leveling out. Now we're hovering like 1%, even going negative again towards the end of his presidency, going into 2016. We increase a little bit, and then by the time Trump takes office, obviously this isn't his fault. He's just now in office, but the trends do continue this way. Looks like his peak, 3.3% in his presidency, 3.4%, right? Producer price change, so not bad. Obviously, just like inflation, you see the same trend roughly. It's going to be about the same, where we have this little stumble, and then yeah, like not a quite bell graph, or what do you call them things? Bell something, I don't know. Yeah, and then now at 0.3. So notice again, because how statistics work, don't take this as like really good, but it's going to be easier to post lower numbers after a big increase like this, right? It still means something, but it means a little bit less than it meant for Trump, because while we're now at the same rates, well, not at the same rate. How does that 2.9 to, that looks higher, but yeah, so we're at like 2.3, 1.9 right now. So we're at, I would say we're doing about as good as we were under Trump pre-COVID for producer prices. Yeah, let's see. Wages and salary growth is an interesting one, because the idea is inflation is fine. Inflation is an inherent thing to do with running a country, right? Inflation is fine so long as wages roughly track. And that's like the whole thing we're looking for here. So once again, 2008. Oh my God. Wait, I probably should do January, right? Oh, lowercase. January 08. Okay. Yeah, so here, this is where we're really going to see the effect of what happened in 2008, especially on wages and salaries. So remember, inflation fell in this time. No, wait, no, it didn't. Did it? Yeah, roughly. Yeah. Inflation's falling at this point. So you're usually going to have a reaction. So the interesting thing about wages is wages doesn't doesn't affect inflation, but inflation usually affects wages, right? So if inflation is going down, wages are usually going to go down. That's just usually how it goes. If wages go down, inflation doesn't necessarily go down though, right? So we get this big fall off, we get this big chasm up until about like 2010. So it takes about 2 years under Obama for us to recover on this wage. But then we start doing good and the economy's great. 6.04%, posted high in 2011. Then 2012 we posted a high of 7.4%. Looks like if we took an aggregate, considering the low average, I might say like here is a good average, even though that feels even a little bit low, saying like 3% seems to be like the average for the Obama presidency. And then we get Trump taking office here, 3.7, 4.7, 5.7, 5.3, 5%. Notice this is good. I'm not saying Trump had a bad economy. No, I've never in my life said that. What I have said is that, one, Obama did it. Obama was the reason that the economy was so good. He inherited it. Like, you can't argue with me on these statistics. Like, we can read the numbers together. We know that Obama had a great economy. Trump didn't do anything to make his economy good. And that's not something bad about him. He doesn't have to do anything. He can just let it ride. That's fine. If he would have done that, that's fine. But he didn't. He gave tax cuts. And now he added to the deficit when the economy was great. Why? The economy is good for once. Let's just... Hello? Why are we deficit spending? I can't push past that. Obviously, January 6th is my whole big thing, but I'll make a whole video about that. I don't got time to go over that today. I gotta read more and I gotta write more. What was on the middle of saying? All right, so yeah, so obviously we're gonna have this huge layoffs in COVID. Economy's shutting down. Negative 6% wage growth. Bad. Wage growth though is interesting because when we have unemployment, wages obviously drop. People aren't needed as much, right? Then economy starts opening back up. We need people again, so we do the opposite. So we're really pushing, so wages increase. So that's why you see it really quickly go from April 2020 to December. In these 6-8 months, short months, we have this entire trend reversed, basically 4% to 5.6. So basically fully reversed. 1% we drop back down, and then we go way up as the economy's full back in swing. That's not sustainable. As we've said a bunch of times, that's gonna drop, and it does. Takes looks like a year to drop back down to normal levels, back to where it was under Trump roughly. Then we teeter, and it looks like they're slightly down right now, but trending towards still here. I don't know, that's like an equal opposite though, so I'd probably have to say like here, like 4% is like the average, maybe even higher. I'm bad at doing these like eyesight averages, but yeah, so this is 30-year mortgage rate. Getting into houses, these are the last two things I want to cover. So let's go ahead and do that. Why is it January 09? Yeah, so anyway, in 2008, what's going on here? Markets, mortgage rates are increasing. They are increasing. We got the housing market problems. We got all this. We know that. 2008 was a bad time to buy a house. Then they start falling all the way through Obama's presidency, all the way through. They come back up a little bit because now they're getting to a point where it's a little too low, right, for the economy. So it's not going to be able to function as well like that. So it kind of wants to push it back up. It does. It can continue down given certain factors, but the economy wasn't set up for it to continue trending down at this rate, so it's going to have that reverberation. There's probably some things that come in here to explain it. Like I said, not super well read up on the Obama presidency at the very moment. Decently well read up, but definitely not on all the events that took place and that might affect the economy. So, yeah, so Trump takes office. Looks like we're about 4%, 4.2%, drop down to like 4%. Hovering 4.4. We get up to 4.9. So he posts low. Looks like 3.7 somewhere around there. Oh no, this is still his presidency. So 3.5. Yeah, I guess 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 looks to be his low. Obviously, we're gonna have huge. We've had really bad mortgage rate increases over this past couple months. So. Did I just see her try to dive and just not make it? Fuck. What was I even just saying? I was in the middle of saying something. All right, but anyway. All right, so drop. Good. So Biden takes office. Drops. COVID happening. Houses cheap. Houses cheap. Coming back up. And then interest rates go whoop. And I think this has to do with a bit of the inflation rate, because I think interest is another category like inflation where it's going to have a slower reaction. But this one also is a little bit strange too, how it's such a late effect. But again, do we think Biden does this? Do we think Biden is the reason for this? Real quick on the inflation thing too, this is another thing I wanted to ask. Do you think this is Biden? Is this Biden's fault? Honestly, don't answer me. Don't like type below or anything. I don't want to know your answer. What do you think? I want you to think to yourself. Did he cause this? And if you flip these presidencies, does the graph flip? Does the graph change? Does the graph stay the same? What do we think? Right? I think if you're reasonable, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but I think if you're reasonable, you would probably say that the graph, if it does change, it's going to change very little, right? I don't think the president has too much power over this stuff. Now, if he goes negatively affecting it, doing a bunch of policy, then sure, but that's not the case with either of those presidents. So I think if we're reasonable, we agree that if we swap the presidents, not much changes. So why are we blaming Biden so much for the economy? And why do we think Kamala is going to do such a bad job with the economy when the economy is good right now? It's not bad. Not bad at all. Right, and then final thing I want to talk about, actually not the final thing, but housing price index, house price index. And this is just the rate at which houses are increasing in price. Obviously, we get some insane rates here. Insane rates. And it starts falling in June, right? You wouldn't know that, but this also basically mirrors the inflation rate, right? We start increasing March 2021. I mean, it's basically verbatim. March 2021 is when we really hit our swing of increasing, right? So it's basically the same as inflation. That's going to just happen. When prices inflate, other goods are going to inflate. A house is a good at the end of the day. Therefore, the price of it increases. Same with the producer prices change. Like, that's just how that works. The interesting little dip here, though, I want to maybe look into that a little bit, why it goes, that little dip. But yeah, now it's falling, hitting lows we've never even hit under Trump. Again, the house is falling compared to this is not crazy. Like, you kind of expect the numbers to come down. That doesn't explain everything, so this is still a good statistic. But yeah, so this isn't sustainable. It's going to come up, and then it's going to tear its way down. We're expecting probably to see another come up a little bit, which sucks to say because houses are actually increasing at a rate lower than they had the entire Trump presidency. So that sucks, but that's probably what's going to happen with the trend. So we'll keep an eye on that, right? All right, so now final thing I want to talk about is the Michigan consumer sentiment. Now, I don't know if this is the same thing as the CCI, the Consumer Confidence Index, but I'm pretty sure I looked up CCI index year over year, and this was like the top result. So I believe this is either the same measurement or a different name or a slightly different measurement as the consumer report or whatever it is, right? So yeah, so 100 is optimistic, above 100 is optimistic, below 100 is negative, pessimistic about the economy. We're usually always going to trend negative. That's just how economies work. No one's super optimistic about the economy ever unless we're booming, like to a point where you cannot deny it, you know? So, looks like under Obama, this is such a wishy-washy graph, and this is such a hard thing to take any meaningful thing from, but I just kind of wanted to show how while consumer sentiment has increased over the past year, it is still massively below where we were here, despite the economy currently being about where we were here, right? So while I don't expect it to be here because we're still dealing with the ramifications of COVID, and obviously you see that it takes that dip, it still has that trend. I don't expect it to be there, but I would expect, like, based on the economy, if we're looking at it, I would expect 85. And like I said, I know public sentiment's going to flip the day Trump takes office, that the economy is so good now and he fixed it and everything like this, or I might be a little bit facetious there, but that's probably going to be true. It's probably going to have, this graph is probably going to look different once it updates for 2025. So I guess we'll see that. That's why I wanted to get this video out. I just wanted to get it out there that, yeah, I think that's going to happen, and the economy is good right now. And so if you ran on, or if you voted for Trump on immigration or the economy, I'm not sure why, and I would love to chat with you about it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. I've been live for exactly an hour and 3 minutes, so I think I'm going to cut it there, save the VOD, and then re-upload it, so we'll have all this. Hoping to do more of these, like I said. I appreciate everybody that stopped by. Obviously, I'm not going to have more than 2 people a day, but yeah, I appreciate everybody that tuned in and seen what was going on. So yeah, I will see y'all, and I